Hey everybody, welcome back. It is the Fantasy Rugby Kids podcast. My name's Jared Dyke.
I'm Ben Glauser.
God, I only stumbled just once, and it's the last one. Yeah,
you want to redo it?
No, no. Let's roll on. Last one for the season.
It's gonna be weird.
Yeah,
not doing this anymore for a while.
What are we gonna do for a little while? I'm sure we gotta play to keep us entertained. Like go on vacation.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
Maybe play a little bit of rugby.
Yeah, a little bit of rugby. Upstate New York in particular.
Yeah. Drink some beer.
Yeah, let's drink some beer first.
Don't have to ask
Speaking
me
of, speaking of. And everybody make sure that you've got us on Google Play, Spotify, iTunes. Actually, YouTube has been posting our podcast as well.
Really?
As audio-only files,
well,
obviously. But, so yeah, it is available there too. So if you're not a fan of the podcast apps as it is, then there's that too.
Fascinating.
So yeah.
This would never work as an actual show. People would be recoiling in horror.
They just turn it off. Just turn it off after 5 seconds. They'd be like, the fuck is these two
What are
idiots?
these mugs doing here?
Uh-huh.
Fucking Americans.
Dummies. So the new in news before we get into the rugby, the little bit of rugby that there was on the weekend. The news on the weekend, besides that, is a new law change that went into effect with immediacy. Like it's in effect, and it's not one that people necessarily know about unless you're. I mean, really, I don't know if this was going on beyond anywhere besides high level stuff, but the quote unquote axial loading of the hooker. And for those that don't understand what happens, and if you've ever played hooker, it ain't a picnic.
No.
On your neck, and you can. I think you've played.
Although
hooker.
it's still better than it's still, even with that axial loading thing where you get two guys resting their heads on your shoulder, kind of, or neck, like kind of you're right where your neck meets your shoulder.
Yep.
Maybe for like Tom Young's, I don't know what the hell that would be. But
your upper trap,
upper neck or lower. Yeah. Oh, no, he doesn't have a neck. Lower chin.
Definitely doesn't have that.
It used to be worse before they tightened up the scrum because you would just be like bashing into each other and there's no protection whatsoever for the hooker. So it's gotten better, but this will help even a little bit more.
Right.
I've never experienced it to the point where it was too much of an issue for me, but that's only because I was used to a little bit more of an impact. I'm like, hey, this is nice. I don't give a shit what they're doing to me there. But yeah, they're just kind of resting their heads there. To me, the biggest danger isn't so much the resting the head there at right at the scrum, right before or set or whatever it was. Between bind and set. It was more the fact that if you rest your head there, that means you have to dip down in the scrum as you're coming in, and that can lead to collapsed scrum. So I'm guessing why this went into effect with immediate effect was because it does make the scrum a little bit dangerous because guys are diving down to come in, and if you're not as talented in the scrum, you're
going right down.
Right down.
Yep.
And because you're ducking, your head's down, so it's just not good. So
no bueno.
The interesting thing for me isn't so much just the rule change, but does this going into the World Cup? Does this present an unfair advantage for the Southern Hemisphere teams? Because they are going to be playing in the Rugby Championship in between now and then. So those front rows are going to be able to experience, and it might not be their starting front rows. Who knows how that's going to work, given that it is a World Cup year. But that experience, does that help them for scrums in the World Cup?
Right. It'll be a little bit because it'll be more of a live atmosphere and a test situation. The other teams do have warm-up matches to play, so they can experience it then. A
little bit,
But again, the difference between test rugby and friendlies is pretty noticeable usually. So they do have those games to get used to that law, and maybe they'll try and keep the intensity up in the scrums and nowhere else. But we'll see. So they'll get used to it a lot more. Yes, that's true.
They'll have a little bit more experience with it.
Yes, that is a true statement. And so maybe early on we see the TRC teams really putting the boots to people in the scrum, but then maybe they figure it out later on in the tournament.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you get a month till crunch time in the tournament anyway,
Right.
so.
But I do like the idea of putting in laws immediately if you have a good idea that they're going to help the safety of the game.
Safety of the game, yes,
and
absolutely.
And this I think is a good change for that.
Agreed.
Maybe not for the reason that they've stated exactly, but
Yeah. Well, the terminology, people were scratching their heads, and
Yeah.
for me, axial loading to me made total sense, and I'm like, well, it's right. I do what I do, so it's something I've heard about 20 times, since I was in college, but not everybody has that experience, so that definitely made some people scratch their heads, like, what the fuck are you talking about,
Right.
boy? I'm just like, yeah, sorry. I knew, but I forgot that everybody else didn't know. Anyway, so the new law, very, very good stuff to try and cut down injuries. A lot of international props and hookers have sounded off saying this is a good idea.
Yeah.
So, a couple of injury scares this week or in recent weeks. Johnny Sexton has dislocated his thumb.
ooh,
He's probably going to miss the initial warm-up match for
yeah,
Ireland
it'll be fine.
to start their campaign.
What does he need a thumb?
I mean, it's nice to have all 5 fingers
Yeah.
on your hand. So 4 to 6 weeks. So they're thinking
that's
he'll probably
fine.
just skip the Italy match, which is the first one that they're playing in the warm-up.
Might help the rest of him heal. Yeah, this might actually be a good thing.
Yeah, might let him take it down a notch, just a touch. And then, poor guy gets named into the team and pulls up with a hammy, Sonny Bill Williams.
Oh.
So he's looking.
That's still not that. I mean,
it's
that
gonna be a race. So he'll be. I think he'll be fine for the World Cup, assuming nothing else pops up.
Yeah.
But the All Blacks did kind of want him for the TRC,
Right.
And it looks like he's gonna at least miss the opening weekend, which will be next week in Buenos Aires. So
Yeah, but Hammy should be like what 2 to 4 weeks. So
yeah, probably about 4.
So he'll
yeah.
he'll play enough.
Yeah,
be
just over
okay.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be just over 2 weeks, and we're about 2 weeks on the nose from it.
Right.
From that actually a week now, but when this occurred, it was a little over 2 weeks. So yeah, he's hurt his hammy just a bit. He was banged up pretty good this year for the Blues too. So I think he could use a little R&R as well.
Yeah.
In the Northern Hemisphere, we had a big day, and it's the fixture announcement for the Premiership. And while we had some very, I don't think colorful is the right word, but very very spot on commentary from one of the coaches.
Chris Boyd came out today with a little bit. It's just a very short interview, maybe a couple
Yep.
of seconds of them asking him. So what he thought of the schedule, and he said he was surprised to find out they were shocked to learn that they played each team in the Premiership twice, once at home, once away, and once they get over that shock, they'll begin preparations for the season, something like that.
Wow. You couldn't be more sarcastic if you tried. Really, Kenny did.
But perfectly
straight-faced,
deadpan
yeah.
in the way, of course, you'd see an American coach give a little bit of a wry smile at that. He was just like, no, this is surprising.
Yeah, didn't bat an eye.
Well played, sir.
Didn't bat an eye. So the interesting thing about this year's schedule is it's pushed back,
Right.
because of the World Cup. They've actually front loaded all the Prem Cup games, the Prem Cup round robin games in the front.
Okay.
So that's why the curtain raiser is technically in September for domestic rugby, but it's the Prem Cup, and and I believe I heard a certain fly half called the Mickey Mouse Cup. So, yeah, again, nobody cares that much about it. Yeah, it's great for the young kids in teams, and they get a run, and they get to showcase their skills, and this is where some really cool stories can start to pop up, like Maro Itoje many years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But the likes of that can happen, and that's great. But nobody's going to really watch that much of it. So
Yeah.
that's just how it is. Bristol Bears and Bath Rugby kick it off again, though, at Bristol, as they wanted it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
All right.
So we're gonna redo this one, aren't we? If you guys didn't, for those that didn't watch the opening fixture last year, Bristol came up with their first win right away in the Premiership after getting newly promoted, downing Bath. Bath got the better of them on the flip side at at what they called the Clash, which actually took place at Twickenham. But yeah, interesting first weekend opening up here. Chiefs open up with the near playoff Quins. Sale open up with Gloucester. Gloucester obviously coming off an amazing season. The defending champion Saracens host Northampton, and Northampton should be a humdinger right there. And then Worcester Warriors host Leicester, and Wasps will host the new boys, London Irish, and that'll be the Sunday fixture.
Okay, that should be an interesting match.
Right.
Both teams have a lot of turnover, obviously.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to be a battle of who adjusts the fastest.
Absolutely.
As a club.
Absolutely. Yep. The only other Prem Rugby Cup matches that will happen after October 12th, which is the last round robin game, will be the 1st and the 8th of February, and then the final will be the 14th. And those are weekends that you presume either that the English squad will be prepping for Six Nations or in Six Nations, so that'll be a good break for the non-international participants. And the finals all the way at the end of June 20th.
Right.
It's a little late in the year, kids.
Very late.
They did say that the schedule was going to get a little bit stretched out, which I don't know if it's good or bad.
Yeah,
I've heard mixed signals on it, so
I like that. I like how that goes. I mean, June, late June, you're going to roll the playoffs for the Premiership right into the playoffs for Super Rugby.
Yeah, pretty much.
Assume.
Pretty much. There's no reason to assume otherwise.
And also say for us as Sarries fans, looking at it from this moment in time, I like the way they're ending the season. In that they've got the last 5 games of the season are six. Let's go with 6 because that'd be the London Irish who knows what they're going to be.
Who knows?
Wasps who knows what they're going to be.
Right.
Sale who
should be
okay, that's kind of
they might be a playoff contender.
They may be a playoff team. Exeter who will be a playoff team.
Yeah.
And then Worcester and Bath
Worcester might be going down.
Right.
So I would
assume Bath's going to be.
I assume the 3 teams that people will speak of the most in terms of who's going down this year will be Worcester and Bristol and London Irish. Although I think London Irish and Bristol will have a little bit more to say about that than Worcester will, unfortunately.
And at this point in time, I think Bath is a sneaky contender to slide down.
We'll see. I'm not saying
that they're a lock. I'm saying that if I was going to place an outside bet on a team that would be being in contention for relegation late in the season, I would put it on Bath myself.
Okay.
I think they're. I'm not terribly impressed with them.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that comes about. They still have Heineken Cup Rugby as well.
Right.
Champions Cup Rugby as well. So we'll see. I called it the old Heineken Cup. But yeah, there's that. Let's see what I want to take a look at the last weekend of the tournament. Of the season here. So round 22 features Gloucester hosting Northampton, Leicester hosting Quins, Irish hosting Bristol, Sale and Worcester. Oof, cakewalk. Saracens hosting Bath, and Wasps hosting Exeter. God bless you, Wasps. Good luck. Oh man, that's rough. That hurts. If they're in a similar position to where Quins were last year, I have a feeling that that will not end well for them. Just gonna venture a guess out there. And and the big question for Exeter isn't going to be, will they be in contention for the Premiership? Of course, they're going to be in contention for the Premiership. They've written this book many times now. The question will be, what can they do in Europe, and how can they find a way to balance out rocking up in Europe and the Premiership, because they've yet to really figure out Europe. They know how to do it in the Premiership. and we talked about it when the Champions Cup came and went, and when the draw came and went.
Right.
They had a good final match against Munster and really put up a decent showing, even though they got beat. But it was at Tillman Park, so that's really hard to sneeze at. But it still means it was a loss.
Right.
And it still means that they didn't qualify, and it's still another year they haven't qualified for Champions Cup yet. So I don't know if this is something that Rob Baxter needs to bring in outside help, consultant like coaching wise, to be like, all right, listen, this is our bugaboo. Mm-hmm. Get us over the fucking line.
Yeah.
Get us into the knockout stages, and we'll consider it a success, and see what happens. I mean, anybody that wants to go against Exeter in the knockout stage, good luck. I don't I don't envy you at all. So we'll see how that goes. Looking forward to it. It'll be nice. The Rugby World Cup schedule does overlap still, but not nearly to the effect that it would if they had started in September, obviously. Yeah. The final for Rugby World Cup will be Saturday, November 2nd. So there's
significant overlap.
There's a good chunk of overlap there. There's 3
weeks.
There's a good 3 weeks of overlap. Right. So you will see some stars.
So if England pull in England, they may you may see guys available for the second or third week. But,
right. Well, and Sunday, October 13th is the last pool play game.
Okay.
So that'll be the week before the comp opens up. So we'll see how that goes. I would suspect that anybody coming back from World Cup duty is going to get at least a couple weeks off to be like, all right, You're broken, you're very battered and beaten, but we still need you for the long haul. So take a few weeks off, rest up, and then we'll bring you back in when you're ready to go.
Right. So if you're playing fantasy rugby early in the season,
mm-hmm.
You might want to maybe if you want to put somebody like Amaro Itoje on your squad,
mm-hmm.
Tuck him away somewhere. Don't expect him around for.
Oh God!
Late November,
late
early
November,
December,
easily. Yep. So you're probably looking at him missing a good
quarter of the season.
Yeah, a good 5-6 rounds easily. I'd say good 5 rounds. You expect him to miss. So yeah, there's that. We'll do a preview show come September, and we'll expound on all this much more. We'll talk about the season and obviously fantasy implications up and down the board and all that good stuff. So the Women's Super Series, it was a fun, it was a fun little notable scoreline that popped up this past week.
There've been a couple. The last round. So the first off, the was it the fourth round is going on at the moment.
Yes, it is. Actually.
Right now, England is playing. I'm not sorry, England. U.S. is playing Canada. Big
rivalry.
Right. I'm not
As
sure
they say in South Park, fuck Canada.
Yeah. I love Canada. I love you, except when our teams are playing against each other. And then it's Brother Bowl here. It's
Precisely.
It's like Clegane Bowl. Fuck you guys. And earlier this evening, England played France, and England
just squeaked it out. Yeah, I was reading about it.
And but earlier, the previous round. First off, England just squeaked by Canada.
Right.
And that was really England's second side.
I noticed
that's
one of those red flags. Like maybe we don't do that next time.
Yeah. The game changed on a dime when Emily Scarrett came in. If you can imagine that, all of a sudden, England started putting up points, and
she's kind of good.
She's all right. And but the bigger shock to me was France upsetting New Zealand,
right?
Which we always talk about it. France always has one.
Got one
game
in the tank, right?
And they had that game. They just beat the shit out of New Zealand.
Wow.
Just kind of they moved the ball well, used the boot well, which they actually did against England earlier today. So the French came out with and I'm not sure what side the Kiwis used. They're still having trouble because so many of their players retired.
Yeah,
they had a fairly old side. And it wasn't just that they had an old side; it was they had those girls were good. I mean, all of them played for the Barbarians earlier this year.
We talked about that.
Yeah, so they all retired, played for the Barbarians, and now New Zealand's putting together the next group that still don't quite know how to win these games.
Not quite there yet.
So I'm not. It was surprising because I expected New Zealand to win that, as anybody should. Just because France has been underachieving. The other issue is that France didn't have one of their best players in there, which is NDA.
Right.
Who was
we had that problem at the Six Nations. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought she played in the Six Nations.
Yeah, she did, but
she
I
did,
thought
yeah.
I thought she was a little beat up in that.
She was, yeah, but she's been playing really well. I
there
didn't
you
watch
go.
that, but then I guess she took a foot injury
Yeah,
and wasn't available for that match.
that'll hurt.
And yeah, as happens when you play a bunch of games in short order like they're doing.
That's true.
So she couldn't play. So that's a key. And she was one of those, like, she's really good, but also a little bit disappointing because she's too athletic. She used to play 8,
Okay.
and she was just not quite athletic enough to play 8 at that level. At least at a high level international,
At the
like
high
at that
level
standard.
you're looking for in
we're
these
talking
matches.
about, like,
yeah, that talk about splitting hairs
right.
here.
And so they move her to second row, and that's really where she belongs at this level. And she's come on amazingly. She's
Nice.
her play has improved a lot.
Dynamic
With that.
second row ball carrier can do you a lot
Exactly.
of good.
Like so she's like a very dynamic second row versus a kind of lumbering 8-man.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't need that.
Exactly. And the French have a very fast back row now. So that's been helping too.
That helps. Get yourself a couple of fetchers in there.
Right. But England looks like they're going to take it, although we'll find out on Sunday when they play New Zealand.
Yeah.
Which will be... Well, you know what?
Should-
I don't know what that should be now. I have no idea what
Could
to
be
expect
good.
from
Could
that.
be a shit show.
Right.
Find out, I suppose.
But yeah, and right now the U.S. is losing 7-3.
Okay. Good
Oh,
update.
I'm sorry, 12-8. Something.
Somebody update it?
Yeah, they scored a try, and then Canada scored a try about 5 minutes ago, and then right after that, the U.S. Took it over the line.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well then. So we're still charging along there then.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, hopefully. Go Eagles.
Yeah.
Okay. Two games that are far more boring,
Oh, my God.
unfortunately.
That was terrible.
So, in contrast, really, let's be real. If you think about the finals we've had this year, at least the ones that you and I have watched, you think about the Premiership final, you think about the Heineken Cup final, the Champions Cup final, you think about the MLR final, and what classics they all were.
And I've heard-
we were doomed for a dud.
I've heard that the Prem Cup final?
Yeah.
Was a good match too. We didn't get to see it.
No.
What was that? The Saints versus
Saints and the Sarries, yeah.
B-sides.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like that. Like some amazing finals all around, and then you get this
And
Super Rugby.
we were kind of doomed for a dud, I suppose, at some point.
I mean, it's one thing if you get a dud that's like an old school Super Bowl, 55-3. Something where one team just
zapping.
realizes from the outset that they're fucked and just kind of packs it in and says, "Yeah, all right, good season, boys." This was not that. This was just a very poor representation of rugby.
Yeah, which
all
is
around.
really unfortunate.
Yeah, like
I couldn't. Yeah,
the Crusaders didn't play well. The Jaguares did not play. And here's the thing that surprised me. You saw the clips of and you saw it during the right before the match. The Jaguares in the semifinal, and maybe it's because it was at home. I don't know, but you saw their reserves and their supporting players all there right in the tunnel, like going fucking
Let's go.
ape shit.
Yep.
And and pumping up their guys and just
Absolutely.
hopping around and going nuts. And then you saw them come out for that match, and they were flat. They were like, "Yeah, let's go, guys. Let's go." And it's like,
What happened?
what the fuck?
What
You guys
happened?
you guys don't.
What happened here, guys?
Yeah, like, do what works.
Yes, absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
go nuts. Rev up your team. Get them going. You're gonna need it to play the Crusaders.
Yes, no kidding.
Like, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And they did not get that. That's for sure. So Crusaders take home the big one in Super Rugby 19-3. They don't care how it was. They're happy to win ugly. They don't care.
They do not care at all.
I mean, ball was a bar soap. Number one.
Yeah,
that did not.
that
help.
doesn't help.
That didn't help at all. That nobody could hang on
Right.
to that freaking thing, man. It just nobody could hang on to it. I don't even know what to say about the Jags offense. So, and they kept talking about it, and somebody needed to hit this kid over the head with like a 2x4 or something and light it on fire. Bonilla he was dropping back into the pocket, making it very obvious he was about to kick, and he kicked these garbage balls right back to the Crusaders. And, the Crusaders' back three is Reese, Havili, and Bridge, neither of which I feel like kicking to. I don't know about you.
No.
And these were not contestable balls. These are ones that are going right to these guys, way too shallow and or not enough air underneath them.
Right.
And it's like one of these veterans out there needs to slap him over the head and be like, listen, if you want to kick, can you stop going into the pocket and just kick like you're attacking?
Right.
So, yeah, and I think Justin Marshall was actually commenting on I was watching it too. I was like, why are they kicking? What the fuck are you kicking?
Right.
You can't kick against these guys.
No.
They're going to eat it. Like, and yeah, the Crusaders will kick back, but they were happy to just, return pin you back, and you kick for touch, but the difference is certainly this week, and they spoiled one every once in a while, but the Jaguars line-out last couple weeks was just taking everything from both sides. Mm-hmm. This week it wasn't the case. They did spoil a couple because they are pretty good, but the Crusaders lineup has just so many good targets, despite the fact Scott Barrett missed this match.
Yeah,
but Dunshea did just fine. Sam Whitelock, Kieran Reed,
as always.
Matt Todd will go up when need be.
Yep.
Wedder Douglas will go up when need be. It's too much for them to just bank on that. So I was a little disappointed in that. Their defense was unbelievable. I will give them that. They had no fucking clue what they were doing on offense, but their defense was very good. They were very tough. Lavanini was one that stood out for me. Matera ended up getting man of the match, so he was everywhere. he was everywhere. And I was like, I didn't think they'd give it to a losing player, but if you're going to give it to one,
who else are you going to give it to?
If you're going to give it to one, that was a pretty good one.
There was one try scored in the match.
Tony Taylor. Somebody who I at least picked out.
Right.
Grant, he didn't do a whole lot else besides that thing, but Sam Whitelock with the offload back inside.
Yeah.
Who was it? Matera with the ludicrous offload out the back that they almost scored off of?
Yeah, the chicken wing.
Yeah. I was like, what was that?
Right.
And then some airhead freaking knocked it on in the end.
Yeah.
I think it was Moyano or something like that. I was like, no, what are you doing? You idiot. Hang on to the ball.
Yeah. I was just watching that, like, when is this going to get good? Is it going to get interesting? Is it going to get interesting? No, it's not.
Nope, it didn't. Didn't get that interesting, that's for sure.
I think I texted you. I'm like, I have 10 minutes to go in this match, and I don't know why I'm still watching it, except for the fact that it's a championship. Like, I didn't even,
except for the fact that it's final.
I didn't even watch one of my favorite things to watch is the trophy presentation, because that's just fun.
Yeah.
Watching dudes act like little kids. And
always true.
Right. As soon as the final whistle was like, I'm done.
I did too.
I'm like, I have no interest in watching any more of this.
I was so done with that match.
I have wasted far too much of my time watching this match.
Yeah, I was very done with it as well. I give the Crusaders credit. It was kind of an alarming sign for me when the Crusaders, who have been going for the jugular all year, start kicking for penalties. I'm like, something's going on here. Mm-hmm. Something's up. And I'll give the Jacks credit. They tried to go for the jugular a couple times. They just absolutely botched it.
Yeah.
Just completely messed it up. And it's they had one where they conceded. Oh, there was the one where they almost got over. Goodhue ended up intercepting the pass, and I think the Jaguars got pinged for a knock on in the passage of play somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then the Jags commit a penalty. Or whether I think it was a free kick infringement, but still, you give the Crusaders free chance to clear their lines. Like, what were you doing? Like, hold that scrum, make them friggin' boot it under pressure. Don't give them a free kick. What's wrong with you? I know the Crusaders. I think the Crusaders ended up missing touch, but still, like, you're all the way back at the 50, not at the 5.
Right.
There's a big difference between having the ball in those two places.
Yeah.
It's just. Put Richie Mwanga under pressure, and he'll kick it just beyond the 22, probably.
Right.
Not out by the 50.
Right. Because, what do you have to worry about? You think that they're going to walk that scrum anywhere? Like,
to be fair, this is definitely the one area that the Jaguars are having a huge issue with, both in their semifinal and their final, which was the scrum. Thankfully, their lineout was dominant, so they didn't have to worry about it too much, and they knew which set piece to go for when came time. But even still, like, just hold your freaking scrum, man. hold your scrum and make them work. Don't be silly and just give away a silly free kick without hand down or whatever the hell it was. I think I dropped a knee.
Yeah.
To be fair, Joe Moody was actually doing a pretty poor job of binding for a good first half of the match at least.
Yeah,
and
but
it's too bad they didn't pick him up on that.
The prop went down to his knees.
Yeah,
and then didn't really try to get up quickly, so it was like
as a prop does sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'm here.
Slowly get to my feet. Okay, yeah. I'm good. Really, excuse me. Really unfortunate to have such a. It was a pretty good season right down to the final day of the regular season.
Right.
But and then to have this just be kind of the boop, yeah, the dud that it was. I was like, oh no,
not with a bang but a whimper.
Yeah, a wee bit, just a wee bit. So the Crusaders claimed 3 in a row.
Hey, good for that.
Scott Robertson's the first one to get 3 in a row as a coach and 3 in a row as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Says something about him. Is he going to be on his way to Auckland next year or Wellington? I don't remember where the headquarters is for NZRU. I think it's I think it might be Wellington. But either way, is he on his way to Rugby HQ in New Zealand for to succeed Steve Hansen? He says no, but I don't believe him for a fucking bit.
No,
I'm gonna wait
because if you're a coach with any class, you don't talk about a position that already exists.
If somebody's already in a position,
right? Even if he's gone,
right?
You don't do that.
No.
Then it just causes too much drama, and you got to have respect for your fellow coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And they send Ronan O'Gara off as a winner. Kieran Reed's leaving. Obviously, Matt Todd's leaving. Good number of guys. Franks is leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of joined his brother up at Northampton this year.
Right.
There'll be one good scrumming Franks. At least. So there's that. I mean, it wasn't the final we deserved, but really, again, we were spoiled with some good finals this year. So unfortunately, the law of averages catches up.
Hopefully the World Cup final is.
Oh God, that would be a
form.
disappointment to have that
right?
be the dud of the year.
I can't imagine that would happen. It's
depend-
just too many different styles of club. Like the Crusaders are, like you said, they will win whatever way they have to win, and that's different from most other clubs. Yeah. Like anywhere,
a lot of teams will win the one way that they know how to win.
Right. And even if it's like special. I feel like the Saris can beat you multiple different ways, but it's entertaining. it's usually at least fun to watch. But yeah, it's the Crusaders and Ireland are the two teams that are like they could win the most boring games ever, and they don't care.
Yep, they don't care.
They're the freaking Jersey Devils of
there you go. That's a good reference. So Super Rugby final moves on, and
so question:
shoot,
who would win? The European champions or the Super Rugby champions?
I don't know. And there's often been that question posed, and I would love to. More rugby is good, but more rugby is also bad for the players. So it's really hard to, unless somebody's willing to put like $1 million prize on the line. Nobody's going to put out their
player.
best team. Yeah, right. Nobody's going to put out their best team for that because that's just how it is. But it would be very, very intriguing to see how that went. I mean, I'd back the guys from London, but I would not sit there and have them walk over it by any means whatsoever.
No. Yeah, but that would be it's always an interesting what if.
Yep, always a fun what if to think about. Yes, because of course you have Crusaders are a plethora of All Blacks now and then, and then obviously. Saracens are a plethora of England players now and then,
and Welsh,
and a little bit of Welsh and a little bit of Scottish.
American,
American guy too on top of that. So yeah, and one Springbok.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there'd be a lot of contrast, and it'd be very interesting to see, and there'd be a lot of star power in that type of game like that. But like I said, I back the series, but it certainly would be a squeaky one. Oh yeah, we got a little time for this. TRC chat. Let's have a thought about this.
I try not to.
Yeah, thinking hurts my brain too. So obviously this is going to be a very odd TRC this year because every coach is like, please don't get hurt. Please don't
Right.
get hurt. So it brings about a question of rust versus rest and all that good stuff. And, is this person ready to fall off and get hurt, or do they need to get moving, and do we need to light a fire under their bum? So a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Right.
I'm not sure.
So because you have a bunch of different teams with different goals, right? New Zealand, obviously looking at the World Cup.
Clearly.
South Africa should be looking at the World Cup.
I imagine that they're not looking at anything less.
Australia and Argentina. Now, those are the two wild cards because both need to gear up for the World Cup, and both
Absolutely
have to. They're in a position where they have to risk their players' safety,
right,
just to get the team kind of together and working as a unit. Although it's a little bit easier for the I almost said the Jaguares, but the Pumas, because
yeah.
the Jaguares are basically their national.
There's a good number of them that are going to be on this Argentinian team, no doubt.
Right. So there's those. I feel like I'm looking at South Africa and New Zealand to underperform.
I'd try and bring along some backups and some depth.
I would say like you'd probably see both teams alternate. Like one match they'll start like 7 starters and 8 reserves or something like that.
Yep.
And then the next week they'll start like a different 7 starters and 8 reserves and get guys rests and whatnot. Whereas I would assume that Argentina and Australia would just start the 15 that they want to see.
That they want.
And see those combinations and how they work in preparation for the World Cup. New Zealand could still easily pull it off.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's going to hurt South Africa more because they don't have that same level of second-tier talent.
No, probably not. I mean, they do have some amazing talent that's on that team.
They do.
There were some shock names that were on the list. Maybe they're there for a reason. I guess it's their chance to find out and prove for us to find out and for them to prove it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be very interesting. And then there's one or two other warm up games that each team's going to play as well. Not nearly as many as the Northern Hemisphere team. I think each one of those is at least playing 4. So to knock that rust off. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. You have to assume that the teams that are on these lists are the ones that are getting carried over to Japan, but I'm not going to assume shit because there's definitely room to make change. Maybe somebody gets healthy. Maybe somebody falls very out of form. Who knows? So don't get married to the team, but expect to see a lot of the same names at the same time. All right. So, as we said, our last episode of the season, there's not a ton to talk about because there's not a ton of rugby on.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about all the rugby we could that was on. We're at the tail end. There's nothing. We're all dried out, guys. I'm out. I'm all out.
And they don't really want to hear about the Union Point Sevens, so
nope. They don't need to hear about that. Trust me. Unless somebody had a lightning bolt go up their ass. That's about the only thing that would have been interesting. Didn't happen.
Yay.
Did my best to make sure that didn't happen. For Ben and I, we want to thank everybody, especially for this. I'll try that again. We want to thank everybody for downloading. We had over 500 downloads this year. I suspect by the time this episode launches, we'll be at like 550-ish, something like that. So that'll be cool. Or by the time this is all the downloads. Plus, I didn't actually account for like the YouTube listens and watches. Yeah. So there's probably about 50 or so in there on top of that. So yeah, we're you guys all made a decent podcast out of a couple of hammerheads. So thanks a lot for that. We especially want to thank the folks at the Rugby Mag. Fantasy Rugby Draft Rugby for constantly tweeting and liking and retweeting our shit, our bullshit.
Right.
thank you very much to our friend, the Fantasy Rugby Geek.
Thank you,
for
sir.
always supporting us and for getting behind us and for pulling us along because he's been at this a little bit longer than we have.
Yep.
But he pulled us along because he's a good sport and because he's a good person. So we thank him and we thank him for welcoming us into the Fantasy Rugby community with open arms. So the two episodes were the Six Nations review and the Mega Rugby Weekend 1 that got the most notice for the Twitter poll. So that was cool. Too bad the preview didn't get in there, but that's okay.
Yeah,
although the person that commented on our reviewed our podcast did mention that episode, so I'll take that as a small victory for my favorite episode at least. We had listeners from quite a few places. Obviously, the States, United Kingdom, Netherlands, aka Holland, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, France, Russia, Canada. I like Canada.
Love you, Canada.
Ireland, South Korea, and Taiwan as well.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it's just a friend. It's just somebody that normally listens to it, downloading it there. But hey,
maybe somebody's traveling.
That's still cool.
We are a great vacation listen, by the way.
I know people that do it.
It's a great, and you know what? I would honestly suggest us for long plane rides. Good.
That's true. That's true. Here in the States, we had, I think, 16, 17 different states, something like that.
All right.
Obviously, Massachusetts, we're broadcasting from just outside Boston, so hello, or recording, whatever it is. California, Michigan, Maine.
Of course, Maine.
Yeah, I know. I'm from Maine originally. So my friends are all just like, oh, hey, Jared's doing something stupid. Let's see what's up.
Yeah.
Maine, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Florida, Minnesota, Georgia, New Hampshire, Nebraska, and your homeland, Pennsylvania.
Yay, PA.
So yeah, we had listeners and we had from all over, and it was really cool. And this was a fun experience for Ben and I to get to know people from abroad. So that was great.
To be welcomed into a greater community too.
Yeah.
Like you said, all those places, especially from my end, the Fantasy Rugby Mag or the Rugby Mag.
Yeah,
they were
great folks.
Like both of those organizations and people did it. I thought they were very nice to us and promoted us.
Yeah.
More than we didn't even ask. They just kind of
they just did it. We added them, but they were just like, no. We need to get this out there. So here,
right.
So I think that was great.
Much appreciation to both of them. It's crazy to do something like this just for us having fun.
Yeah.
We sit around and talk rugby all the time, just us. So why not
put it on record and see what happens?
Yeah. And so it's heartwarming to see that there's people out there looking to grow the podcast game.
Yeah, makes me believe the universe might have something good to give. Sometimes I have my days where I'm like, fuck people. Right. But there are these types of people are the ones that just give you hope that, okay, maybe shit ain't so bad.
Right.
So, thank you guys so much for doing this, for helping us and dragging us along. So for next year, we're definitely going to have, for next season, we're definitely going to have some more tweaks. I definitely plan on getting a new logo of some sort. I slapped that sucker together, right. Just because you need a logo. I was like, oh, really? I do? Crap.
This is very much a slapdash thing. There was literally like Jared talked about doing this for like a couple of weeks just as an idea, and we're like, all right, cool, mate. We'll talk about it maybe in a little bit, and then as you have to do, you have to take the initiative to just go and do it, and cheers to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. I was bored one day, really. Let's be real about this. I don't know how the hell I was bored, but I was. Because I have plenty I could have done probably, but this sounded way more appealing than what I had to do. So, it turned out to be a good thing. So for our potential, we have a couple more people that want to join us. Also, James, thanks for coming on and adding your rugby knowledge to our program. This was we had 3 episodes that we did with him, and all of them were fun.
Fantastic.
All of them were fun.
So he added a lot, and I hope his
I'm sure he'll be back.
Days as a guest star are not over.
I'm sure he'll be back. We have a couple more people that want to come, including somebody on the international level.
Oh yes.
So, and I won't say who. I won't say who, but yeah. So we have some cool potential. I was also thinking maybe one time next year we'll do like a live one.
Yeah.
Broadcast live on YouTube or Twitch, and maybe give that a shot and see how it turns out. I don't plan on doing it here.
Right. We'll find a space.
We'll find a better space,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it'd be really cool.
There's 2 more people that need to be thanked that we have not thanked
Okay,
yet.
fire.
Our wives.
Oh God, yes. That also is very true. The bosses, not to be forgotten.
Yes, thank you for your patience.
Yeah,
And your understanding as we banish your wife to the to the bedroom while we do this.
Leave yours all alone at home.
Yeah, mine's at home with the dog and cat. Mm-hmm. Wondering why her husband's
Wondering what the
hanging off
hell
with
is
his
going on
boyfriend.
here. So yeah, to be fair, yeah, they definitely need a bit of credit. I was toying with the idea that maybe we need a host next year, so we'll figure that out. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But I'm not going to be married to it. But at the same time, if something happens, then I'm all for it.
Look, if it's good enough for Jimbo and Goody,
Yeah.
it's good enough for us.
Yeah. Find us our own weird fish.
Yeah.
Yes, I used that line, but I used it on purpose this time. So yeah, that'll be great. We are like we said before, we're invited to Rugby World Cup, fantasy, an experts league, which would be great.
Experts.
I mean, whatever you want to call it, man. We're the bottom of the experts, but that's fine.
Look, if that's what you want to call me, all right. I'm not going to say no, but I'm going to laugh a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. For anybody that gives a shit, which is probably 0 people, but I won Pick'em. That's not a new thing.
Dick.
You had like 2 bad weeks, and I just took it from there.
Yeah.
And you were kind of playing catch up the rest of the year, and kind of
make some bad decisions.
Yeah,
And that just kind of
put the screws to you on that one.
Yeah.
I had 1 week where I went like 10-0 or something like that.
Right.
And that did it for me. I was like, that probably is going to do it, because we had no separation at that point.
No, yeah.
But yeah, so that'll be great. It'll be what was the other thing I had in my brain? I know I had something else in there. Come on.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck searching that cavernous dwelling in there.
Hello.
Precisely. I did knock on my head once and it sounded hollow, so that's probably not a great sign.
I witnessed that. You used Craigie's head for it.
Yeah, that's a thick one too. Oh
Right.
God. So yeah, we will do we'll do both competitions for Prem. We are going to do our own league, so stay tuned to the podcast. I'll probably put out like a little bit of a little Easter egg. Hey, guess what? So on and so forth. So we'll keep the leagues open. So when we announce them, get in there. I know the tier. Bless you.
Sorry.
You gotta die.
Too much beer.
No. Words that I don't
like
usually have an issue with.
That was like a burp cough right there. I don't know what the fuck that was.
Wow.
I'm glad we got that on recording.
Some sort of strange creature just creeped out of Ben.
At least it was this hole.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I'll give you that one. I know TRM doesn't do a cap on participants, so that's good. But obviously, we're going to limit Prem FRD because you need to. Otherwise, your player pool just gets really diluted.
It does.
And it sucks.
We experienced that in the Super Rugby.
We did.
We maybe had a team or two too many. Well, 2 teams too many. But
Yeah, probably 2 teams too many, and that's okay.
That's okay. It's learning.
It was a first time. It was a first time.
We are experts, but we're learning.
Yeah, still learning. We'll do both for Super Rugby when that rolls around next February. And obviously, we're going to continue doing the TRM Six Nations, which I think we had a lot of fun with, just because there was a lot of participation in that one. So some of our teammates were trying to get it on it. It's like you guys are like a week too late.
Right.
Sorry. So we'll keep doing that, and as long as you guys keep downloading, then we'll keep appreciating you, and that's cool. So until September, we will see you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
See ya.